Entering the final few laps, put the pressure on, go for the position.
Hello, hello, one and all, and welcome to the season opener of the Invictus Racing League for the F2 group, brought to you in partnership with Grid Finders and Driver 61. Now, I'm excited. I'm very excited. Say, season 14, we've got some familiar faces, we've got some new challenges to the scene, and in fact, before we get things underway, let's take a look at the grid now. I'm already seeing some supporters for our various drivers. We've got Lalarin, we've got Spritzy, so let's take a look at the grid now. Piloting the Mercedes, we have Jorel and Owen, Red Bull, Lalarin, Benizzi. Ferrari will be driven by Gaudio and Creon. McLaren will be driven by Kent and Nando's Loris. The Alpines will be piloted by Nicolites123, aka Nicolate, and RPM Spritzy, aka Spritzy. AlphaTauris will be piloted by GRG Virus and TS Bunty. Aston Martins piloted by Trickstar, aka Trick, and Ginger Hagrid, aka Hagrid. And rounding off the grid, we have Nicole in an Alfa Romeo. Tell me, chat, who do you predict will win the season opener? Say Bahrain this evening. Say it's all on the table. Fresh season, fresh competitors. It's all on the table as we head into the start of this league. I'm personally excited, so allow me to introduce myself first before we get underway. Let's say I'm Sappytron. Ben is fine. And I will be guiding you through this season of the F2 League. I'm personally very excited to do this. It's my first season out, so there will be occasional mistakes, there will be hiccups, and also just a word of warning: if my commentary does cut out, that is because I have a cold, and I will be cutting out to hydrate. But bluntly, there we've got some support for Lando. Say good luck to all the drivers involved. For sure. All of the drivers involved. Best of luck to everyone. Let's hope for a good race. So we're praying for some good race. Some real displays of talent here this evening. So as I say, just heard from the driver room that we are currently waiting for one more driver, and then we will head to in-game and get underway with qualifying. So let's talk a little bit about some of our drivers. So Constructors Champion, Ferrari, they are back once again. Say apparently a lot of money is on Gaudio. Gaudio taking it, and there is a lot of unknowns going into this. Let's hope that everyone is as excited as I am. As we ready up now, we should be about to head underway. So with that all being said, let's have some good racing today. As the countdown begins, we'll head in now. Let's hope for some clean racing and some fun racing as we head now into qualifying. So just as a reminder of how we run the show here, it is a short qualifying session. It is not staged. It is a short 20-minute qualifying session for all drivers to get in their laps. Let's go, Owen. So we're seeing a wide range of support this evening. So we've got Lalaren, Spritzy, Lando, Owen fans. We've got a lot of different support going around. Let's see who comes out on top. Okay, so as drivers prepare to head out, 144p. It is, your streams should be coming through at 1080p 60. So we've had no dropped frames internally. But it looks like the first to head out of the pits will be the Red Bull. Will be the Red Bull of Alessio. So we're going to hop on with them. Take a look. Not sure what is going on. We appear to be having some minor audio difficulties. There we are. Okay, apologies for those audio difficulties, folks. So we're going to head out now. Going to tag along with Alessio here. So first lap, getting the tyres warmed up, ready to go out on a flyer. You can see, hopefully we'll see some good pace. Get accustomed to just how quick some of these drivers can go. So coming into this relatively blind, it's a fresh, clean slate. Alright. Going to stay on board with Alessio as he starts his flying lap, out lap complete. Let's see what kind of pace and what kind of driving we're looking for. Okay, a little bit deep, a little bit of a lock up going into turn one. But manages to hold it together, keeping good pace. Really pushing the track limits there, absolutely trying to maximize the amount of space they have on the track. Good run into the chicanes, coming up to hairpin here. Yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of lockup. Just shows how much these drivers are willing to push to the absolute edge to gain those tenths, those milliseconds. Oh, and it looks like it's a safety car in Sector 2. Looks like the McLaren. I'm going to go quickly see what's going on there. Looks to be back on their feet, though. We can just see him flying around the long left-hander. And it's a fastest sector so far for Alessio, setting the pace of the track up to this point. As we come to the start-finish straight, it is going to be a 1:27.369. It's a good start. Yeah, Jorel is strangely not coming out of the pits quite yet. It looks like we got another safety car, the AlphaTauri, briefly losing it down the second to last straight. And looks like that, so far, that fastest lap is going to stand. Very good flying lap from Alessio there. Outlap's complete. Going to head on board with the AlphaTauri here. And see what kind of pace they will set. So they got a little bit unsettled. Oh, it's a Sector 1 safety car. No, correction. So my yellow flags. Okay, a little bit on throttle there. So again, trying to maximize the track going into a set of these corners. Good throttle control. So far, Alessio's first flyer is still standing. And you can see just by the amount of spread of the grid. So Alessio leading with that 127.3, and at the back up to this point is Nicola with a 128.957. So quite a large grid spread. Hopefully we'll see that pack in as we get through this qualifying session here. Oh, and it's going to be broken by the AlphaTauri Virus with a 127.1. Brilliant flying lap there. So we are going to head on board now with the McLaren as they come around setting a 127.5. Looks like the Alfa Romeo stopped on track, curiously enough. Briefly stopping on track. That's a little bit dangerous there. Especially when other drivers are coming round seemingly on their flying laps. All with Guerrero. Okay. So, quite a range of support here this evening. So, well, whatever driver you are backing tonight with the Invictus Racing League, just know that it's going to be a night of good racing as we open up the season. It looks like that spread has narrowed down slightly. We're down to a 128.8. Although Virus's 127.1 time has opened up the gap. Looks like the sister team is outpacing its big brother. What would have been a Red Bull 1-2 front row lockout has now turned into a bit different of a situation now. So you can see some drivers heading back to the pits and then coming out for another flyer, hoping to get one more good time in them before they call out qualifying. Kent is going to abandon their lap, curiously enough, so we're going to hop on with Gaudio now, who's also entering the pits. Looks like all the drivers have set their flying laps. They're going to head back into the pits now for a brief reset and heading out again. Going to hop on now with Spritzy, so on their outlap now. Going to just see what pace they can achieve. So right around the mid-pack, only 5/10 away from the lead in Virus. You can see all of these drivers are willing to push the absolute limits. They extend just slightly, really pushing those track limits as we head into the chicanes here. So it's all about getting the heat in those tires ready for the out and flying lap. So we're going to stick it here with Spritzy for the time being. Send it, Alessio. Hey, sensing a favorite. As we come through here, you can see Alessio is just going to start his next flying lap now. So a couple occasional yellow flags popping up with slow traffic, but it looks like the air is all clear for Spritzy as they begin their flying lap in the Alpine. The hop on board with them now for a POV flying lap. Okay. Very good measured braking as we head through the first set of corners. Absolutely making the most out of that. Brilliant showcase of throttle and brake control there. Going a little bit wide Going a little bit wide, going to have to recover from that. Not exactly an optimal line there. Just shy of their previous first sector. So they're going to have to really push their car to the edge if they're going to make up those tenths. As we head through here, it looks like the Aston Martin is going to be slow on track, causing a yellow flag briefly to pop up. So far, very good pace from the Alpine. We'll shortly find out what their sector time is. Again, really stretching, and it's Alessio going around with a 127.029. Brilliant showing from the Red Bull driver. Although Spritzy is coming in slightly below their current Sector 2 fastest. Could we see a new hot lap for Spritzy here? Could we see them jump a few places on the grid? It could be close. Didn't sound like they had the best exit. Coming out of that corner, it's going to be, yes, a 127.3. That's going to put them in third position. Very good flying lap there from Spritzy. Very good showcase of car control. Even despite getting slightly out of shape towards the middle of the lap, they pulled it back for a very good starting spot. So, having crossed the second half of qualifying, my question to you, chat, is who are your bets on winning this race? So we've seen some really good hot laps, and they keep it together during the race will be our question that we'll answer this evening. Going to head up now with Nando's Loris as they head through the final sector. Just going to see what kind of pace they're on. So it looks like this lap is going to be an abandon. They're 5 seconds behind their previous. It looks like this one is going to be a prep lap for the real thing. Anyway, let's see how the McLaren driver really pushes it. As we head down the first straight. Very good. Almost worried to go a little bit deep there, but looks like that wasn't a problem. You can see Gaudio hanging off track, not wanting to disturb the other drivers. Very good sportsmanship shown there from the Ferrari driver. So we head through Sector 2 to the next hairpin. It looks to be pretty good pace for the McLaren. The question is it going to be any faster than their previous times? You can see minor changes going on around on the grid. Gaudio has taken second position, and Spritzy has been knocked all the way down to 5th in the grid. You can see just how much it has shaken up. Oh, it's going to get a bit out of shape for Nando's. Definitely not the lap. It looks like this one is going to be a little bit of a write-off. Are they going to keep going? Looks like they are. They're going to briefly hop on with Laram here as they come to complete a lap. Will they be looking to set another? Oh, it's very nice. It's a 127.1, firmly locking in third position on the grid. It's GIG Virus though, with a 127.024. The two Taurus teams tussling it out for that front row right now. So the AlphaTauri just scraping by the Red Bull compatriot with 5 milliseconds. What tight racing. Just goes to show you how fast some of these drivers are. So the peak, if you will, some of these drivers. And the absolute skill that we should see on display during the race today. I'm certainly excited. Yeah, we're going to head on briefly with Trick here in the Aston Martin. So is Nicola going to set... Doesn't look like Nicola is going to set another lap. Looks like they will be relegated to the back of the grid for the race. But are we going to see any more flyers? Any other changes in the grid from what we've already established? But if we just take a look quickly with the first 4 positions on the grid, they are only separated by 26 milliseconds. So the tolerances are so tight. And we saw from some of their hot laps just how far these drivers are willing to push it and how far they are going to go to the absolute limit in order to satisfy the fastest lap. Well, as we head in flying lap with Trick here. Good throttle control, good braking. So we head into the first DRS. So I'm going to get a little bit out of shape though. Maybe overcorrected the steering. That's going to see him off track. That's going to see them lose a little bit of time. As we head in, we are in the last 2 minutes of qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. So this will be the last chance for drivers now to set their hot laps. Try and gain some last minute positions on the grid. Again, a little bit of over-rotation. Maybe the Aston driver is getting a little bit too happy on the throttle there as they're coming out of corners. You see another over-rotation. But the Aston driver still keeps their composure. So Trick quickly catching those little overcorrections, still holding the lap together, showing a decently good pace as we come to wrap up qualifying here. We have a few drivers on their outlaps and having just come out of the pits, going to give it one last try and see if they can get anything faster. I'm sure for in Alessio's case, that 5 milliseconds is going to seem oh so tempting to try and steal the pole position back. So, what we're going to do, we are going to head on with Owen now and just see what kind of pace they will be looking at setting. It's a 127.366, a new fastest for them, putting them just ahead of Trick. And to see, are they going to be going for anything faster? Is another push lap, it looks like here. And to see what they can get away with. They know that this is their last shot, so they might as well make it count. A good car control going to the chicanes. Looks like a little bit of understeer, maybe too much curb there. So a little bit of understeer, certainly putting them on a less than optimal line as we head through Sector 2. But the Mercedes driver is keeping their composure regardless. See, Owen's going to be a bit of a abandon there. Yep, that is going to be... I think we are looking at the grid formation here, folks. It's a short of a miracle lap by someone like Nando's or Gordio. And in fact, we are going to hop quickly on with Gordio now as they look to try and be on the flyer here. They're slightly slower than their best Sector 2. We're going to see, are they going to push? Oh, getting a bit out of shape. It's off track. It's off track. That is not what you want to see. So I believe we are looking at the official grid formation here, folks. A real shame for Gordio there. Was on pretty good pace before getting a little bit bent out of shape on that last section. So they slowly pull into the pits. Or not. That is going to be qualifying, wrapping up here. Okay, so to recap the grid, in pole position we have GRG Virus in the AlphaTauri, setting a blistering 127.024, really setting the pace for the race. But closely behind we have Alessio in the Red Bull, only 5 milliseconds behind. Following that we have Kent in the McLaren with a 0.048, Gaudio with a 0.050 in the Ferrari, and then the McLaren of Nando's, Lalaron in the Red Bull, Spritzy in the Alpine, Owen in the Mercedes, Trick in the Aston, Jorel in the second Mercedes, Hagrid in the Aston Martin, and Nicolò in the Alfa Romeo. It's a good qualifying session. We saw some real pace out there today. Now, let's see how the drivers carry it through into the race as we gear up and get underway. As final preparations commence. Certainly tense going into the Season 14 opener here in Bahrain. In terms of weather, looks to be clear skies, no signs of rain or weather disruption. So we will be looking at a typical tyre strategy for this race. Now let's take it onto the track. As we have with the formation laps, so looking, well, some people looking for a two-stop strategy, although we may see some one-stops, as I say, it's depending on how brave the drivers are feeling. As we prepare the details for you all, the formation lap will get underway. And I certainly can't wait to see the Season 14 opener for the PC F2 League in partnership with gridfinder.com and Driver61. I am your commentator, Sappytron. It's a pleasure to be here. And of course, if you ever wanted to support us, you could head over to our website, to our social medias, or you can check out our partners over at Gridfinder and Driver61. It's always a pleasure working with them, improving the quality of the racing, and making this a much better experience for everyone. Let's say Alessio has clawed back within half a second now. I have been muting this whole time. Okay. Right. Well. So, to briefly catch you up to speed where there was an OBS error and I was muted. So, we had Laurent losing control in the early laps of the race, spinning their car out, learning themselves a DNF. We've had a couple of penalties as well for the virtual safety car, a couple of drive-throughs, time penalties. My apologies, that was completely my mistake for having muted. But we're heading straight back into the action. Say Alessio has caught back up within half a second of the lead driver in the AlphaTauri. But it's going to be yellow flags for Sector 2 and Sector 3. It looks like the Aston Martin of Trick is going to get a little bit out of shape, but it's Gordio who's going to set the fastest lap. And Alessio making a pass through the start-finish straight. Getting a little bit of lock-up as we head through turn 1. Being potentially a little bit out of shape there, but holds it together. So very good driving there. Quickly take a look at the Aston drivers. They may be mentally a little bit shaken up from making their mistake, because they're taking it a little bit slow. A little bit of over rotation there. That was a little bit of an issue that we saw in qualifying. So hopefully, the Aston Martin can gain a little bit of composure within a good time frame to get themselves back in contention for the top spots, although a gap has certainly built towards the front of the pack. I'll quickly hop in with the front of the pack here. So a bit of a DRS train going along here. So we're going to hop on with Owen, who's probably looking to try and take down the AlphaTauri driver. But he's going to over-rotate. He's going to spin it. He's in the wall. He's in the wall and out of the race. Critical damage to the car there. That is going to be a safety car. Stranded Mercedes on track. That is tragic. A tragic end. And we're only lap 5 in, and we've seen 2 DNFs and a lot of pit stops to replace front wings and get repairs done. That is certainly... Owen is certainly not going to be happy. Certainly not going to be happy by any stretch. Yeah, we're going to take a quick hop on board with some of the lead drivers. You can see they're going to hop in to the pits now. They're going to be getting another set of tyres. Gordio, interestingly enough, going on the hards. Will they be looking at carrying those hards to the end of the race? If so, they're certainly going to have to manage their pace with their longevity here. You can see a lot of grid changes, a lot of both a VSC and a safety car coming out during this race, and it's only lap 5, so a lot of drivers have already pitted in, swapping their tyres for fresh sets, say fresh mediums, fresh hard. I'm going to see, I'm going to hop on with Nikki here, so they've got a bit of time now to catch up to the safety car train. This is certainly going to be an equalizer. Certainly going to be an equalizer in terms of the grid order. I say a lot of drivers who previously stuck well behind have now got the chance to close those 20-second gaps and bring themselves back into the race for contention. So it certainly has been a crazy race so far. I can only apologize for the audio issues and lack of commentary up until this point. A technical issue and certainly some technical issues on my end as we catch up to the safety car queue. So hopefully the other drivers can catch up in time. We've got Hagrid and Nando Loris trying to make their way back up to the safety car train. Drivers in the safety car train are trying to keep the heat in their tyres. They don't want them to get too cold, especially now that mostly everyone has swapped into harder compounds, taking the opportunity from the safety car to switch into the mediums or hards. As we take a look at some of the details, so you can just see by the fact that it's only lap 7 and in some cases 2 stops have been made. Well, I've had to replace front wings, swap tyres. Oh, what is this? Under the safety car, Nicky's going to pile into the back of Jarrell. And that's going to be another DNF. That is going to be another DNF under the safety car. What a crazy race up until this point. Though we can see here, everyone on the harder compounds is really extending and weaving to try and keep their heat in so that they won't be too disadvantaged when we get back into the running. But at least we can say now there's officially a clean grid. Okay, looks like the safety car is going to be coming in this lap, and we can start getting some racing underway once again. There we are. There's the direct from race control. Safety car coming in this lap. We'll be back on race running very soon. Ooh, say 5-second penalty dished out to Kent, perhaps bumping his teammate as the safety car train concertinas trying to get a good run out to the start and finish straight. As the safety car comes in, we are back in the running, ladies and gentlemen. Let the racing begin once more. And also going to be a penalty for Hagrid for speeding in the pit lane. And we're going to stay on board with Jarrell here quickly, looking like they're going to have a fight with Gaudio. What has happened to Gaudio? They've gone completely off track. What has happened there? He must have lost control before stop circuit, because they are all the way back down in 7th. And they're certainly going to have a lot to make up for in terms of gap to the rest of the field. I'm going to quickly hop on there with Virus as they're chasing down the Red Bull in Alessio. So far, Alessio has held for most of the race in terms of position. So are we going to see Virus with, once DRS reactivates especially, are we going to see Virus try and make a charge to reclaim first position? Oops, looks like going a little bit wide with the Red Bull here. Entertainment so far, thank you. I again apologise for the audio muting issues earlier. For context, I have a cold, so I mute and unmute when I feel like I need to do cold related things, which I would rather not be heard, and I just simply forgot to unmute one time. So, fully my fault. I apologise. Okay. So, I'm going to hop on quickly now with Gaudio. So, Spritzy is heading into the pits here. We're going to see, can they make up time now after that brief incident upon re-entering the race? Are we going to see them make up that time? Looks like they're already making good headway up to Trick in the Aston Martin. You can see the timesheets just closing in 10th by 10th by 10th per corner. So, hopefully we'll see Gaudio shortly rejoining the proceedings at the front of the grid. There is one curiosity to me, and that is the McLaren duo at the back of the grid. So they seem to have a little bit of argy-bargy with the other, As you can see, we've got a penalty for Nando's for colliding with teammate under safety car conditions. So you have to think, so could be there any issues between the two, or just a freak error? What we can see here, Ken is slowly closing the gap on the Alpine driver, looking to make up positions after the pit stop. Although curiously, they have gone to soft, so are they going to be going for a double soft strategy potentially? And if we can see there, DRS has been re-enabled. Virus is surely going to jump on that and use it to retake position from Alessio. And in fact, we're going to head over to them now. You can see from Alessio's perspective, we'll quickly see just what they're doing, as they may have to pick some defensive lines as we head into the chicanes. They obviously know that Virus is going to be hot on their heels now that DRS has been re-enabled and that they are in the DRS zone. Oh, but Ken is going to set a fastest lap so far of the race with a 129.6, putting those softs to good use for sure, and definitely on a drive to make up time. Good showing. Very good showing from Kent there. You're just going to see, again, DRS being used to full effect as Virus is just slowly trying to claw away at that gap. But again, the dirty air is going to put a little bit of a stopper in that from happening. So what time they made up in the DRS sector, they are quickly losing in the more technical sections of the track. And then as we can see here, because they're still within DRS range, but it looks like it's not going to be enough. They haven't really closed all that much of a gap to the Red Bull. But we're going to hop on board now with Gaudio over here, who is looking to make a challenge on Trick here as we go into lap 11. So Gaudio doing extremely well to make up time. You can see DRS open once again within half a second now. Are we going to see any heroic moves going into the next section? As you can see, going into the chicanes, Trick not taking necessarily the best lines there, losing a little bit of pace. And you can see Gaudio is knocking on the door of the Aston Martin here. So potentially eyeing up a pass, seeing where Trick is potentially losing a little bit of time and just giving them no space to breathe. See a tiny over-rotation from the Aston Martin there is going to make Gaudio back off briefly, but with the DRS open, looks like they're going to be making a move. They eye up the inside, they're not going to take it. Trick's still going wide regardless, expecting the Ferrari to make a bit of a lunge. But Gaudio's not going to take it. They're going to bide their time for now. And so as we can see, we've got several fights on track right now. We've got Virus making a look for the lead. I've got to briefly check in with them as say heading into the start-finish straight. Are we going to see any heroic moves from the AlphaTauri? Alessio is going to cover off the inside. Good choice of defensive driving, taking control of the corner there. But Alessio is going to again be on the defensive as we head into the next section. But we're not going to see any moves from the AlphaTauri. And to briefly check back, looks like Trick is going to try and attack once again. No, they're going to back off. They're going to back off. They had the DRS. They had opportunity. I mean, Owen crashed after an incredible start. It looked like a freak loss of control. It's certainly a shame. It's always a shame to see DNFs in racing. Sometimes it can just be a freak loss of control. And that's all it can take. Oh, bit of over-rotation from the Aston Martin again. You can see just how hard they're trying to push it here, but Gaudio just has that extra level of control. You can see them just peeling away now. So just to briefly check in with the battle for 7th, you can see Kent having to be on the defensive a little bit. As you can see, say the Aston, McLaren, and Alpine all locked in a heated battle. It's going to be McLaren of Kent who's going to try and make a move for 6th position. Say, are they going to be able to stick it? Taking the inside line, covering off. Looks like it's going to be set. A very good move from the McLaren driver. Are we going to see any retaliation from the Aston Martin? I don't know if we are. Oh, so we're going to quickly check in. Looks like there's been a little bit of battling up full front. Say, Virus has finally got the momentum to make a move. They're going to go side by side into the chicanes. Good driving, both leaving each other space, but Virus is going to have to back out of that one. Very good battling through the chicanes there. They will be keeping a close eye on this battle, that is for sure. Now, one thing drivers have to keep in mind is that they don't want to get too overbearing with the pressure of a race. Let's say, being the season opener, the pressure is arguably just more present than ever. So, especially in the drivers' minds, they have to keep an emphasis on maintaining their composure. A little bit of a shake from Virus, but keeps it together. And exactly, you can see how hard these drivers are pushing for these positions. And just how hard they're willing to go. But they still have to maintain composure. They can't let the pressure of the race get to them and compromise their session. They're going to stay on board with Virus. You can see they're trying to really go for it. Say, both adapting to each other's moves. Say, Alessio really covering off this inside. Looks like a little bit of contact between Virus and Alessio. Again, very good defending from the Red Bull driver here. Going to briefly swap in to Jarell and Gaudio as they look to be having a little bit of a battle here. They're going to hop quickly on board, say good defensive driving, covering off the inside. The Ferrari is going to have to take the outside. They're going side by side into the chicanes, but Gaudio is going to have to back out. Will we potentially see a move going into the next section? You can see Gaudio is peeking left and right, just trying to see what moves they can make. There's a little bit of contact there. But Gaudio is still on the heels of Jarell. You can see DRS is enabled. And keep an eye on this one. So battle for 3rd place is going strong as ever. Although that being said, here comes Trickstars. So don't forget about the 3rd fighter in this scenario. We'll certainly see an interesting battle going into the start-finish straight of lap 16, as both the Ferrari and the Aston will get the DRS. So be curious to see how they use it. So here we go. The attack is happening now. So the Ferrari of Gaudio effortlessly breezing past. Jarell's going to attempt to defend, but it's not going to amount to anything as we head into turn 1. And Gaudio is going to lock off 3rd place for the Ferrari. 3-second time penalty for Trick there. Potentially too many contacts with other drivers. In fact, we're going to quickly hop on with them now. Need to see what they're doing. Oh, flying debris. What has happened here? What has happened to Gaudio? Did they get hit off track? Was that contact? That must have been contact. They've lost their front wing. You can say Gaudio had such a strong hold on the race up until that point. So to see them suddenly spear off is something worrying. A brief check-in with some of the other drivers. So it looks to be minor damage, front end plates to the Mercedes there. Ah, both flew off track, I see. Well, we're going to see a couple of the cars go in for repairs. Certainly, Gaudio not having a very good race at all. Say 2 incidents that they've had to recover from. Certainly not a place where you want to be. And it's going to be a penalty for Jorel for speeding in the pit lane. You can see here. So just to get back to the front, I think Jorel pushed too hard. To say it could be likely. To say both drivers went off. Looks like they just pushed a little bit too hard, raced each other out of circuit, ran out of road. As we keep a eye on the two pace setters, keeping relatively clean up until this point. So they have essentially the clean circuit to themselves, and now it's just about putting the pressure on. You can see the AlphaTauri's tried to make several moves, occasionally got past Alessio, but Alessio is not cracking under the pressure, not having any of it. And not bowing to any pressure whatsoever there from the AlphaTauri. Ooh, bit of a lock-up. You know, maybe pushed a little bit too hard there. That's certainly going to cause issues with the tyres here. See, diving in hard, going a little bit wide as we head into the long S's. They're going to briefly check in with Gaudio here, all the way down in last, to say this is going to be a driver on a mission by this point. And you can just see how hard, sparks flying from that Ferrari, a little bit of a twitch there. You can see just how hard Gaudio is going to push it to try and claw back as much time and positions as they can. Looks to be brief yellow flags there, not sure what happened there. Looks maybe Trick got a little bit out of shape, maybe Hagrid. But we're going to briefly check in now with Nando's. As you can see, slowly keeping an eye from afar on Hagrid. Will they potentially be looking at making any moves? I can see now Nando is in an awkward position because not only are they trying to make a move, but they're also going to have to be on the defensive. As we can see, Jorel is coming up behind the McLaren now. We're going to see a little bit of a battle as we head in through the last section. Jorel is going to slowly catching up, closing that gap. Fastest sector thus far. You can see just how hard that Mercedes is pushing. Gonna hop on board. You can see peeking up the inside, going to stick their nose in. Are they going to be able to hold it? It's going to be tight, no contact. But remember, they have got the DRS as well, and see that in full effect as Jorel effortlessly breezes past. Looks like they're going to lock off the move as we head into turn one. That was a good attacking play from... It's Hagrid's going to be spinning. Hagrid spinning out of the track, losing control, losing the back end there. Not good for the Aston. So perhaps pushing just that little bit too hard, knowing of the looming threat of Jorel was going to be coming. Maybe pushed a little bit too hard to try and maintain that gap. But, as I say, good driving from Jorel, keeping composure and slowly making their way back through the field. As we briefly check in with Nando's now, so they can see that they are just outside of the DRS range. Not going to be able to capitalize on that. So doing their best, but say Jorel again is going to be off track. What is going on right now? Say they pushed too hard. That's going to be a spin for the Mercedes, losing their front wing. Say Jorel just pushing that a little too hard. You can see the composure of these drivers is maybe starting to waver. So with enough incidents, any driver's psyche is going to break. The drivers are going to get mad. They're going to get frustrated. So you can certainly see how these mistakes can be so easily made, especially after a race like Jarrell's had in terms of incidents and shakiness. But say still some blistering pace being put on the drivers. It's going to be a DNF though. They're going to retire from the race. As we hop in back with the AlphaTauri, the fight for P1 is still going strong. Arguably, it never left. To say Alessio is going to dig a little bit into the inside, knowing of the looming threat of the AlphaTauri. So you're going to cover it off. Good defensive driving there, but we still got the second DRS here. As Virus may be looking to make another lunge, another attack. Briefly eyes it up, but it's not going to go for it. Not going to go for it. Doesn't have the room. You can see just the amount of mind games that are going on here. But we're going to briefly check in with Gaudio as looking to get past Hagrid in the Aston. Going to see how they fare here. So is Gaudio going to try and make a lunge going into the start-finish straight, or are they going to wait for the DRS and lock the move in there? I think it's going to be the latter. As we head in now, Hagrid's going to go a little bit to the inside in an attempt to cover off, but the DRS is already open, and the DRS is already strong. You can see Gaudio just effortlessly breezing past the Aston there, locking in the move. There's some good driving. Gaudio must be on the recovery drive of his life after the roller coaster of a race that we've had for the season opener here. Oh, we can see Gaudio getting a little bit shaky there. They're potentially pushing a little bit much. And we're going to briefly check in with Virus now. So again, say we're in a very similar position, as these two have just been duking out lap after lap after lap, not giving each other an inch. These two are certainly in their own class in terms of this race. As you can see, getting a little bit of a track extend for Virus there, potentially getting a little bit out into shape, having to duck outside the corner. We can see just how hard pushing. Now, one thing to keep in mind though is the tyres now. So Trick has just gone into the pits, so they're going to be coming out. They're on fresh mediums, so taking it to the end of the race. Hagrid is on 12-lap-old hards. They're going to be carrying those to the end. How hard are these drivers going to be pushing these mediums? Because all drivers swapped out of the softs very early on, opting for harder compounds for the rest of their strategy. But how much more performance are they going to be able to eke out of those medium tires before they reach the cliff and they give up? And that will certainly be interesting to see, as we did see some punctures in some of the other leagues. Okay, both drivers heading into the pits here. I think they're going to be both switching to softs for a last-minute dash. You can see almost as if they're two sides of the same coin here, almost. You can see both drivers are switching off to the softs. Going to swap quickly to Kent, looking to be making a challenge on the Aston Martin of Hagrid here. Looking to be making a challenge. See Kent slowly putting the pressure on, weighing up options. Hagrid getting a little bit out of shape, losing the back end a little bit. That's going to cost them a little bit of time. Riding the curbs slightly. As we come to the start-finish straight, we're going to see some good defensive driving. We're going to see a good overtake. Again, Hagrid going in the inside in an attempt to cover off. But you can see they dipped out, saying Kent is going to slip up the inside here. going to get the move done and lock it firmly in. Good driving, good move from the McLaren there. As we can see, Gaudio making it up to 5th place now. Still got penalties, although so we may see some penalties applied and may see some penalties removed pending race review. But we can see, say, Virus there setting a fastest sector 2 right now. So just showing they are pushing to the absolute limit in that AlphaTauri in an attempt to catch up to Alessio in the Red Bull. And so going a little bit deep, Alessio potentially losing a fair bit of time there. So having to go a bit earlier on the brakes, perhaps maybe running a bit low on grip, locking up. Virus is going to take full advantage of that, close the gap ever so slightly. It's going to be a penalty for Nando's Loris for multiple infractions. Seeming should be things like speeding in the pit lane. We've seen a fair bit of that over the course of this race. But I cannot believe some of the absolute scenes that we have seen in the racing today. Didn't see Jarrell crash. Did he retire? Jarrell did retire, yes. Jarrell did retire, say, after an incident. They lost their front wing and went back to the pits and retired from the session. I'm going to stay on track here with the Red Bull AlphaTauri combo heading down to the start and finish straight. That gap is smaller than ever. Are we going to see Virus now making another move? Say it's Alessio making the fastest lap, but Virus is going to quickly follow after a 129.3. Both of these drivers pushing each other to their absolute limits. That's what you want to see. That is the racing we come to see here, folks. You can see a little bit of shakiness as we head into the second DRS zone. There's a little bit of tyre screeching there, potentially overdoing it ever so slightly. But both drivers, you can see they are absolutely pushing 110%, really overdriving their cars currently, just to eke out as much pace as they can. Going to have a look now at, say, Trick making a move on the Alpine of Spritzy here. Can quickly have a look and see what they're up to, because Spritzy's not letting this go down uncontested here. Trick may have got the move on them in the DRS zone, but they're looking to keep that gap as short as possible. What's happened to Gaudio here? What's happened? They've lost control again, it seems. What is going on with them as we get a brief yellow flag? You can see maybe pushing a little bit too hard again, conceding a position. One you can see, say, Gaudio, Jarrell in particular, say, drivers who are willing to push 110%, but the problem with pushing 110% is if you can't keep that under control, ultimately your consistency on the circuit is what matters. So certainly one thing to look at. Say Alessio and Virus back to now. Say Virus is peeking up a move on the outside going into turn 1, but couldn't quite make it steep. You can hear a little bit of the lockup as we switch cameras. And then again, it is back to status quo here. I'm sure Gaudio, after that brief spin out, is not going to be happy after that. But if we take a look at, say, the lap here, so you can see Spritzy might not be able to move their move after all their lap. They are on 15 lap old medium tyres that they'll be looking to take to the end of the race. Hagrid, interestingly enough, has just swapped to soft tyres at the very end. I'm not sure what their plan is, but if we take a look at fastest laps, You can see a little bit of the grid spread, say about 2 seconds apart between fastest and slowest. Byron is currently holding the fastest lap record with a 129.3. But regardless, it is a brilliant showing for all of the drivers here today. I say full of drama, full of excitement, certainly during this race. I hope we've been enjoying it up until this point, and you're more than welcome, if you want to see more of this action, to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as following us on social media. What we're going to stick with it here is, say, Byron may potentially be looking to make a move into this next corner. Say the gap is only 3/10, rapidly closing. Going to peek up on the inside. Not going to go for it. So Alessio placing their car perfectly to defend from the AlphaTauri. Again, very good defensive driving from the two here. Though Byron is going to attain a 3-second time penalty. So perhaps maybe pushing a little bit too far in the eyes of the game stewards. You can see another DRS zone happening here. Going to quickly peek around. So look first the outside, then the inside, but it's not going to stick. Again, it's not going to be a move that sticks. And then we are back. We are back where we started as we come to the last laps of the race now. We're just about to start laps 27 of 29. Barris is surely getting impatient. He's been stuck behind Alessio for pretty much this entire race, and they'll be wanting to make a move and wanting to make it now. Another quick attack. That gap always growing smaller. They're going to throw it around the outside. They're going to get their nose out. I'm going to slightly get it past Alessio here. Is that going to be the move sticking? That may potentially be the move sticking. I'm going to quickly take a look from Alessio. Are they going to stage a counter attack? Boris is going to hold the inside as Alessio coming around to the outside. They're going to be a little bit of wheel banging. Gaudio has retired from the session, and it's Virus spinning out. Virus over rotating, pushing it. They're going to spinning out. That is going to be, that is that battle done and dusted. Gaudio has retired. Potentially another incident of pushing too hard and just knocking themselves out of contention. What an insane race we have here, folks. Certainly not short of excitement, I can tell you that much. As we close out, say, final few laps coming up, are we going to see any last minute moves? We keep a track on Spritzy. You say they're nursing their old mediums to the finish here. If we take a look at how they're doing, so using every last drop of their ERS, just trying to squeeze their absolute maximum pace out of the cars here. But I'm sure at this point, with the amount of DNFs we have for the drivers here in our season opener, their priority will be making it home. You can say with Spritzy at least now on 17 lap old mediums. These drivers will have one directive at this point, and that directive is making it to the finish line and securing their result for their respective driver and constructor standings. Well, we're going to briefly take a look at our pole sitter, Alessio, doing a brilliant job. Honestly, they've done an absolutely stellar job this race. They did exactly what they needed to do, defending from Virus for what felt like forever. And after attack after attack after attack, Alessio just holding their composure, putting in lap after lap after lap. Certainly a driver to be proud of. If I were Red Bull, I would be very proud of the driver I have in P1 right now. But to go over one more time. In terms of relative position change, certainly been a very good race for Trick here, going up 6 positions relative to their start, as well as Hagrid. So Aston Martin certainly having a very good race in terms of making up position. That will certainly be good points for their constructors drive, with both drivers making it home, and same goes for the McLarens, 5th and 6th, while slightly lower than their qualifying endeavours and their starting position. That will certainly do well in terms of constructors points. As we watch our pole sitter take it home here. What an exciting race it has been. I've certainly been on the edge of my seat for a significant portion, that is for sure. But as we round out, as we come to the last corner here at the Bahrain circuit, and for season opener of the Invictus Racing League F2 season, it is going to be Alessio Benessi. You have won the Bahrain Grand Prix. Congratulations. Very good driving. What a brilliant show here today. And as we see the rest of the drivers make it home. So with the amount of shakeups this race had, virtual safety cars, standard safety cars, definitely one race to watch. And if you want to keep up with this action, be sure to stay updated with all of our social media and YouTube endeavors. But what a race, what a way to open the season. Certainly not short of chaos at times. And there we have it. That is our race done. So Trickstar getting driver of the day. Very well done. Say what a good showing. Say Boris, Trickstar and Alessio taking the podium. Brilliant showing out there today from these drivers. Certainly a race opener, a season opener to be proud of. And there we have it. So, as far as provisional standings go, we have Alessio topping out in the Red Bull, 129.4, 46 minute 20-second race time. Although it's Byrus, his chaser, who is going to hold the fastest lap with a 129.3. So brilliant showing from both drivers there. Say Byrus in the AlphaTauri. Following that, we have Trick in the Aston Martin, Spritty in the Alpine, the two McLarens of Ken and Nando's Loris following up in 5th and 6th, followed by Hagrid in 7th in the Aston Martin. And then for DNFs, we had Gaudio in the Ferrari. Certainly a roller coaster of a race for some of these drivers, like Jarrell and say Nikhil locking up under the safety car, putting themselves out of the race sadly. Owen and Lalarin in the Red Bull. Well, what a race here today, folks. I certainly couldn't think of a crazier way to open this season. Certainly some interesting occurrences. Now, I hope you have enjoyed the show here this evening. Truly, that was an endurance race. If nothing else, that was an endurance race just as much as it was a race for position. But it's been an absolute pleasure casting for you tonight. I'd say my apologies for the initial issues, audio troubles. But it's been an absolute pleasure. casting for you tonight, and I will hope to see you very soon for the next round next week. Be sure to check up on our other leagues though. So this is not the only league. We have our PC leagues, our PlayStation leagues, our realistic performance leagues as well. So be sure to check those out. Follow on with everything at Invictus Racing League here on the channel or on our social media such as our Twitter, or alternatively you can head to our website and get involved with the action yourself. But for now, this is me, Sappy, signing off. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you all for coming this evening. Take care. I will see you in round 2.